Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Dark Place Watcher of Realms. In today's video I will talk about the top 5 legendary heroes that I think do not fit with their classes. And let's start with number 5. I am putting Abomination to number 5, right? And he barely makes into the list as number 5 because don't get me wrong, he works as a fighter. He carries you through the mid and early game, through gear rate 1. He's got some nice AoE damage. He works as a fighter, don't get me wrong. But I sometimes feel like he works better as a tank when you build him tank, especially if you give a lot of HP to him through HP bonus main stats, because he's got a very high base HP. And he has got two self-sustaining, well, one self-sustaining ability and one ability that increases his maximum HP by 50%, right? So he is invulnerable for 4 seconds, and then pretty much restores 30% of his maximum HP after the effect is done. You know, very, very effective. He's got this self-sustain option, which even most of the tanks don't have, right? So I remember pulling him at the very early stages of the game, and I was lacking some tanks, and I built maximum HP on him, and it worked perfectly fine. He got the job done, right? And then his ultimate as well, despite the fact that he gains AoE damage, he also gains 50% maximum HP and pretty much becomes unkillable, right? Imagine if you've got 80k or 70k HP, that goes up to easily 100, 110. And if you've got a healer behind him as well, who can keep him at that level, he becomes really, really tanky. So that's why he is making into the list as number 5. I think Abomination, considering you have got Arrogance, you have got, I don't know, Zilitu, Valk, Valeria, you know, all these options out here, falls off as a fighter, but is actually a good tank, right? Then at number 4, I have got this guy, Orim. So Orim, quite interestingly, is a defender, right? Who increases his own crit rate by 15% for every 5 crit hits landed. He triggers Hammer Smash that deals damage. So a very fighter ability, right? He likes to deal damage, this guy. He's dealing damage to one enemy with a 40% chance to trigger a shield attack that inflicts burning. So he does burning to them as well. When you have a look at the ultimate, he is increasing his attack range and reduces physical damage taken by 20%, lasting for 26 seconds. So he gains some attack range and some physical damage reduction, but at the same time, despite this having a bit of tankiness to it, it's pretty much the only ability that gives tankiness to him. Like, you know, he's got burning, he's got damage. Each triggered hammer smash will deal AoE damage up to 10 targets when he's in ult. Like, you know, he's got a lot of these like damage dealing abilities. If the hero receives damage from attackers with burning, there is a 50% chance to trigger counterattack dealing 100% damage to the attacker. I suppose, yes, I mean, uh, you wouldn't want to take too much damage with a fighter, and Orim in that sense, being a tank, you know, can have such a passive. But let's be honest, you know, he does not have any self-sustain. He's increasing his crit rate, increasing allies crit damage. You know, I don't know. He's more like a fighter. Just let me know what you think. But I feel like this guy could have been a fighter instead. Um, you know, it doesn't have any self-sustain, nothing. When I am looking at the stats as well, I mean, compared to Abomination, has got less HP. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know. I think he could be a fighter instead, right? So he is my number 4. And at number 3, I have got Crutch, a marksman who I think should be a fighter. I suppose he's unique in the sense that you have similar ranges for fighters. You don't have such ranges for a marksman generally. Fighters do have similar ranges, but he is pretty much the only one who has got this range and does AoE damage, I suppose. Well, kind of. I mean, Arrogance during his ultimate can do some AoE damage to far ahead people, and I don't know. This guy, despite his weapon, shooting projectiles and everything, I mean, is more like a fighter. He's built more like a fighter. He deals area damage to multiple enemies in range, fires 3 projectiles at random enemies in range. Look at that, look at the passive. The closer the enemy is, the higher the damage they take. The damage increase is capped at 24%. Which other marksman would want to have the enemies near them, right? Very rarely. I suppose there are exceptions to that. There are skills where you benefit from like having the enemies closer to them and stuff like that, but I feel like this guy could have been a fighter instead. Would it make him more useful if he was a fighter instead of a marksman? I don't know, possibly not. But the thing is, uh, you know, let's face it, let's face it, nobody wants this guy. I mean, if you pull him after a long-waited pity, you will feel upset. And needs a bit love. This guy. This guy needs a bit love. Uh, but he feels so strange. I suppose he's got a good BP option, or potential, let's say. He's not completely useless, but at the same time, he does not feel like a marksman. I feel like this guy could have been um, a fighter instead, right? And at number 2, and this is a bit more obvious one, right, is Durza. Now, Durza, when I have first seen this guy, I thought he was straight up broken only because of his ultimate. Because I misread that and I thought he deducts 50% of the current HP from the enemies in range instead of allies in range. Then I've read it again and I was like, oh, okay, so this is more like a supportive option to the chaotic, people. So this guy slows enemies, so has got a bit of um, a crowd controlling abilities going on, but at the same time, he's mostly just buffing the enemies, buffing their attacks, reducing their health. Just only benefits the chaotic faction, so does not synergize well with any other faction, not really. But he can be a support option for chaotic. I just do not see him being a mage though. He doesn't have these, like the only AoE damage potential he has got is through this ability here. When an ally in range takes damage, he deals, there's a 20% chance to deal AoE damage to those enemies and inflict them with vulnerability, magical and physical damage, right? And gives a quite significant amount, of vulnerability as well, I think. But at the same time, he's just boosting their damage, reducing their HP, which is what they want, increasing their attack speed, you know, and stuff like that. This feels more like a very, very chaotic specific support to me. Does not feel like a mage at all. Looks like a mage, yeah, I give you that, but also looks like a support and is a support. Is more like a support, right? And at number 5, I have got another marksman for you. I've got Pelagios. Now, I love this dude. I love this dude. I love his kit. I really want to pull him someday, hopefully. Got really nice reviews. He's really good. But the thing about him is that he looks like a mage. Look at that, right? He looks like a mage. He does not look like a marksman. He deals AoE magic damage. He has got some control abilities going on. He inflicts continuous true damage to them. He inflicts, tidal vortex, which pulls them towards the center and stuff like that. I don't know. This is something, his talent, very Boreas similar talent, right? Summons tides every 12 seconds, dealing true damage to targets in range, and chance to inflict 1 stack of Radiant Erosion, which deals continuous true damage. Let me know what you think, but this guy very obviously feels like a magician, right? And then I feel like the only reason why they have given him marksman is because there's no other marksman in Supreme Arbiters. And then they probably wanted to have one, right? So they were like, oh, okay, let's make this guy a marksman. Like, let's have one marksman at least for this faction. But really, the looks, the kit, the everything about him smells more like a mage. Please let me know what you think about it. And this is my number 1. Um, Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this list and who other legendary heroes would have made the list. What is your top 5? I hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next video, guys.